And I was very reluctant at first, and I said, no, it's not even ready to be invested into yet. When it is, I'll let you know. Well, then he asked me again within a week if he can invest. And I said, well, let me talk it over with my, fiance, and we will, go from there. Well, then the very next day, he asked me if his parents could invest again. And I said, okay, I'll talk to Micah tonight, and we will see what we can do about, letting you guys invest. Micah and I had discussed the progressional steps of them investing, what it would take, the legalities of it, contracting and everything like that, So we discussed it, and sure enough, we drew up a contract. They drew up their own contract under the advice of a lawyer, and he was very, very happy to invest. Seemed a little too eager, if you ask me, but he was very happy to invest.
Jake, can you tell us who this person is?
Yeah, his name is Jeremiah Redford. He's a lifelong resident of Wichita, Kansas, and he went to school here, North High School. He graduated from North High School here in Wichita, Kansas. He's born and raised in Kansas. He's a telemarketer for MCI, and we were very good friends, I really liked him. I got him a really good job doing maintenance technician work, doing make-readies and things like that. We would prepare homes for move-ins or sales, co-op style of homes, government homes, regular maintenance technician or technical work, electrical, heating, ventilation, things like that. He had some background, but I was willing to, train him and show him anything that he needed to know. I gave him rides and we went to lunch. We were, he posed to be a very good friend. And his girlfriend, Candy Morrow, also of Wichita, Kansas, born and raised here, they both seem to be very, trusting, very good people, and the reason I was so hesitant on going into investments with him was just for the simple fact of ignorance on my behalf, is not knowing, a lot about the process steps that it takes to actually obtain patents and things like that. But once I saw that, I had read all the book and got everything going, once I disclosed the document to the government, I was basically worried about him trying to steal my invention. That's basically what I was worried about, because that would be Micah and I's invention. Our future. It'd be my fiance and I's future. It's a very, profitable invention. It has a very strong call. When we lived in Columbus, Ohio, we did, spot surveys in one of the largest college towns in the United States of America, and sure enough, the majority of people, basically demanded that the cans be covered, and that they were very unhappy that they weren't, and every single person we would do spot surveys all the time. Just out of curiosity, we would ask, on how people would feel about, knowing that they're drinking from a can that is just, filthy and just covered with, potential inoculatives, such as herpes or staph or strep or, things like that, A fever blister is not something that, is acquired because you got, a high fever. More than likely that these days it is, a simplex of the herpes virus, and it was found on the pop can. There's mice urine on them. There's all kinds of stuff. They're not taken very well, very good care of. So we went ahead and basically I would not, let him invest right off hand, because I was, concerned about our future. I wanted to be able to provide a good life for her, and that's what I'm supposed to do, and I love her very much, and that's what I was doing, was protecting us and our future.
And when you refused to let him invest, is that when your terror started?
No, actually, it started after he invested. You know, he was able to manipulate us into, you know, investing, more than likely through, you know, the remote influence. You know, I went ahead and, you know, talked it over with her. We both agreed. You know, we've been friends with him for years now. You know, I mean, we're over there all the time. We can, you know, maybe not trust them, but, you know, with legal contracts and stuff like that, with the papers being disclosed to the government, you know, taking, you know, legal steps to protect the invention as well as ourselves, you know, I'll go ahead and let the guy invest. He seems to be very eager to invest. He agrees with me that it's a very good invention and it has an excellent future. So we went ahead and let him invest. About 3 days after that, he told me that we went out to dinner. He told me that I was going to lose my fiancée. We had been arguing a lot lately, that I would start, you know, being harassed with directed energy weapons, things that I had, you know, I was familiar with the weaponry being used in Iraq, you know, that the long-range acoustic devices, acoustic projectors, you know, things like that, long-distance acoustic projectors or low-dispersion acoustic projectors. And they had actually found that these weapons were a lot more effective on the behavior, the psychological part of it, rather than thereof, you know, and being able to affect the nervous system, you know, rather than it were more of a sound deterrent, because it, you know, the long-range acoustic device, or LRAD, will actually emit an audible sound that's very loud, and it can be, you know, do other things. Well, once they had found that, you know, that the infrared on it could actually penetrate the human body and affect them neurologically without making audible sound, these weapons became, you know, something that was at a need-to-have basis. After they had, you know, used them against the Iraqi forces, they had, you know, coerced 630,000 of the third largest army in the world, very powerful army. Iraq posed to be a very formidable opponent and a very strong threat to us in the field. Psychoacoustic projections or psychoacoustic projectors convinced them subliminally to lay down their weapons and would, you know, cause them to have seizures. It would throw their nervous system completely out of whack without, you know, the area necessity for I should say that the aerial necessity for an implanted transceiving device. They were able to actually lock them into large electromagnetic fields, bistatic fields. It would emit like an old woodpecker radar system would. It would cover you with ionized energy, being of a positive ionic effect as well as a negative ionic effect, which would create you to be, it was a type of radar that was used before Doppler became very popular. Woodpecker is non-layerable. It's, you can't layer it. It's just one ground field radar system, but it will penetrate the body. It's pure radio frequency bistatic. It'll have positive static as well as negative static in it to form an image. That's its claim to fame, you know, and it's able to actually hear with an electromagnetic static spotlight. You can emit a spotlight of electromagnetic static, and it will actually start to act like a microphone from a certain distance. Those were things that were found out during World War II with the radio effect hearing and things like that. Now they've moved into an area where they call it voice to skull. Radio effect hearing is being currently used and tested on pilots for all airlines. That way they can move to a different area of communication rather than one that's easily intercepted, just like what the Air Force has been doing for the past 40 years. They've been using